fell and lost to the war. Shot me dead, I was lost.
Good day everyone, my name is Alex and welcome to a new review. For today I have another phone that looks a lot like the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge, and this one is called the Bluboo Edge, so they have the exact same name. What's not the same is the price and the performance. This phone costs around $140–150 depending where you buy it from, and of course the performance is nowhere close to the original Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge. Even though this phone looks a lot like the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge, we don't have glass on the front and on the back, so we only have glass on the front and plastic on the back. And comparing this to the Elephone S7, which I recently reviewed, this one feels much better built. Keep in mind that this is still a big phone, so we have a 5.5-inch screen, and that makes the phone rather large, and it is a bit difficult to actually use this phone holding it in one hand. As I mentioned before, the performance on this phone, it's nowhere close to the performance that you would get on a Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge device. So we have a MediaTek 6737 CPU, that's a quad-core processor, not the fastest out there. We have 2 gigs of RAM, 16 gigs of internal storage, and running Android 6.0.1. And if you're wondering how big the difference in performance is between this phone and a Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge device, for example, well, that phone would get an Antutu Benchmark score of about 140,000, and this one gets an Antutu Benchmark score of about 28,000, so a very, very big difference. Of course, on the Geekbench 4, we only get a multi-core score of about 1400 as well. The back of this phone is made out of some shiny plastic that will get scratched rather easily. We also have an 8-megapixel camera there, the flash, and a fake heart rate monitor. And yes, that's a fake heart rate monitor. I mean, we do have an app in the phone, however, it doesn't actually work. And all the way at the bottom, you're just gonna find the Bluboo logo. The frame of the phone is also made out of metal, just like on the original Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge. However, this is a bit thicker than the original Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge, and it will not fit any cases from that device. So on the right hand side, you're just gonna find the power button. On top, you're gonna find the secondary microphone and the SIM card tray. This phone can take either 2 SIM cards or a SIM card and an SD card. And since we are talking about the SD cards, yes, you can install an SD card as internal storage because we have Android 6.0.1. And since we are talking about internal storage, out of that 16 gigs of internal storage that comes with this phone, we get about 12 free. And of course, it's worth mentioning that the speeds for the internal memory are rather decent for a device that costs only about $140. And moving to the other side of the phone, we're gonna find the volume buttons, and of course these ones are also made out of metal. All the way at the bottom, you're gonna find the microphone, you're gonna find the 3.5mm audio jack, the micro USB charging port, and the speaker. This phone also supports OTG, so you can basically plug in any USB stick to this device, and the phone will be able to actually read what you have on that USB stick. This phone takes about 2 hours and 20 minutes to fully charge from 0 to 100, and it is a bit slow, and that 2600 mAh battery that we have inside will kind of make it for an entire day, but it really depends on the user. Me personally, I was able to get about 2 hours of screen on time, and 2 hours of screen on time, it's not the most. And of course, a lot of you are using your phones quite a lot, so you may not be able to make it for an entire day on one charge. So keep that in mind, you may have to charge this device twice throughout the day. And regarding the speaker that we have for this device, well, this speaker doesn't get that loud and it sounds a bit flat, but here is an example of how the speaker sounds. On the front of the device, starting on top, you're gonna find a notification light, and this notification light can change colors, but it is very, very small. You're also gonna find a couple of sensors, the speaker, and a 5-megapixel front-facing camera. And as you're probably expecting, that front-facing camera is not the best camera either. So even if we have a lot of light or no light, the camera doesn't take the best pictures. The pictures seem to be out of focus, and when there isn't enough light, there is so much noise in the picture that it is kind of difficult to actually see. This camera could be okay for like video calling, but more than that, it's not gonna be great. Even though this phone looks like it's got a curved screen, only the glass on top of the screen is actually curved. So the screen itself underneath, it's not actually curved, and it kind of ends wherever the glass starts to curve. So you have a 5.5-inch screen with a 720p resolution. I guess the resolution is good enough. We have really good viewing angles as well, and the screen seems to get quite bright. However, if you do take the phone outside, there is a lot of glare and reflection, and that's going to make it difficult to actually see the screen. It also seems that the screen is covered by some type of scratch-resistant glass, and the manufacturer says that it's Gorilla Glass 4. There is no way for me to actually verify that, but yes, it does seem to be covered by some type of scratch-resistant glass. Now, the sensitivity on this screen is not the best, so you're gonna find yourself touching the screen a couple of times to actually have stuff opening and moving, and that could be annoying at times. And you can also touch the screen in 5 places in the same time, and the screen will register. And lastly, all the way at the bottom of the device, you're gonna find the home button that's also a fingerprint scanner. You're gonna find the multitasking button and the return key. However, those buttons don't light up. As per the home button of the fingerprint scanner, it is accurate, I would say 9 out of 10 times, but it is a bit too slow for my taste. So all you have to do is actually touch the fingerprint scanner and the phone will unlock. But as I said before, the fingerprint scanner, it's a bit slow. Most of the times cheaper devices from China don't have the best GPS units, but this one is the total opposite. So the GPS inside this device gets connected to the satellites right away. It literally takes like half a second, and it doesn't matter if you're inside or outside, so it does connect very fast. And of course, using Google Maps, it's also done very well. The Blubo Edge is also using Android 6.0.1 with Blubo's own skin on top of it. And I have to say that me personally, I don't like this skin. It is heavy, it doesn't look that great, and it doesn't have that much functionality either. And it kind of slows down the phone. So if you swipe right, you're gonna find something that you would find on an iPhone. You're gonna find like recent apps and some news feed. But as I said before, this slows the phone quite a lot. If you swipe left, you're gonna find basically all the apps that you have installed, because we don't have an app drawer on this device. The settings app, it's rather simple and it looks a lot like stock Android, and we don't have that many added features. We have some smart gestures there, so you can basically draw a letter on the screen and an app will open. I don't find any of these features useful. And of course, this phone, as I said before, it's running Android 6.0.1. Connectivity wise, this phone supports 4G, and I was able to connect to the 4G networks here in Canada. When I'm not connected to the 4G networks, I was connected to the 3G networks. The speeds that I got over 4G are appropriate, and this phone also has one band for Wi-Fi, so you're not going to be able to connect to like the 5 GHz Wi-Fi networks, only on the 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi networks. And of course, the speeds that I got on that Wi-Fi network were appropriate as well. And also, we don't have that many sensors available, so these are all the sensors that we have available on this cheap device. On the back of this phone, we have an 8 megapixel camera interpolated to 13 megapixels, and I'm pretty sure they only do that as a marketing strategy. The camera app is the same camera app that we've seen on many MediaTek devices, so we don't have that many options, we don't have that many settings, and the camera app is rather slow. If you use the HDR mode, because yes, we have an HDR mode, it takes quite some time to actually take a picture, and you have to hold your hand very steady to actually take that picture. So yeah, the camera app, it's not the best out there, and it is a bit slow as well. For picture quality, don't expect great pictures from this phone, because it is a cheap phone and they had to cut corners to actually achieve that. So the pictures, even in good light, the focus, it's kind of soft, and well, they don't look the absolute best. And as soon as it gets dark, or you're in a darker environment, it takes quite a long time to actually focus. And whenever you take the picture, it comes kind of blurry, and there is a lot of noise in the pictures in low light. So these are some examples of pictures that I took in low light and in good light. Most apps that I've tried on this device, like Chrome for example, if you give it a second or so to load, you can scroll zoom rather okay. So even though we don't have the fastest processor, most apps will do just fine. The YouTube app also works okay at a maximum resolution of 720p, and the video does seem to go fairly smooth. Other apps that I tried and games also do okay, but just keep in mind that you don't have that much RAM available, and you don't have the fastest CPU out there. So some games may slow down, and some apps may occasionally slow down as well. And it's time to conclude this video. So yes, this phone costs only $150, and for that much money you can't really get that many phones. Mostly if you're planning to get like a Samsung device, yeah, you're not gonna get any phones from Samsung that cheap. Good phones anyways. So we get a nice looking phone that looks a lot like the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge, and you could actually fool some people into believing that you're using a Samsung device because it does look fairly similar. The battery inside it's not the absolute best, the cameras aren't the best, and the CPU it's not the fastest out there either. However, for a phone that costs only $150, I think that it performs rather okay. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you do have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below. If you like the video, press that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.